Alright, what's up YouTube? I'm back with another video again for the Genesis Coupe build. It's going to be part 9. This is probably going to be one of the last videos actually. This one or the next one. I'm going to be putting in the spark plugs today. These are NGK 2669s. These are two-step quarter plugs. Usually I recommend them for anyone that runs over 600 horsepower and the 2.0s. I'm also going to put on the throttle body, install the plugs, put the engine hoist together, take off the engine, and then I'm also going to put on the clutch and flywheel. I'll be putting that on today, and then more than likely the serpentine belt because I have everything on. I also have AN lines now for the return line, and then I also have my turbo feed fitting, so I'm going to show you guys how I put that on and all that good stuff. But yeah, this is probably the last video. The next video I'll be showing you guys me, probably putting all the plugs on together, all the sensors, and then turning on the car. All right, guys, so I just got done gapping the spark plugs to what I had last time, which is a 0.021. These are two-step coder plugs now. These are NGK's 2669s. The other plugs I were using before this were one-step coder plugs. Those were NGK 2309s. So we'll see how good these perform. So we're putting in the spark plugs now. We're using a 5/8 socket with the magnet at the end of it, specifically for the spark plugs. Whenever you put in the spark plugs, I do recommend to do this by finger tight first, and then get the wrench out and then tying it down. We're gonna put on the ignition coils now, and they're held in by 10 millimeters, okay? All right, spark plug boots are tying down now. Let's go ahead and throw on the, what's it called? The throttle body, tying it down. All right, so the throttle body is on. It's held in by 4 bolts. So you got 2 nuts right here on the left side, and then on the right side, you're gonna have 2 bolts. Unfortunately, I don't know where I put them at, so I'm gonna have to find them in a second, and I'll show you guys what it looks like all finished up or torqued down. But yeah, oh, and if in case anyone wants to know, you can take this off by taking out these retainer clips. Just be careful when you're moving it, because you have to remove it straight out. If you kind of like twist it out, you'll break some of the leads in here. So be very careful when if you're taking this apart, if you need to powder coat it or something. All right, guys, so this is the oil sandwich plate fitting that I'm going to use. It's going to be for the oil feed line. I'm going to go ahead and put some, I know you can't see it, but I'm going to put some black gasket maker on these threads. That way no oil will leak through them or anything like that. Sealed up. That way there's no chance of oil leaks down the road. Right there. It should be pretty good now. Now I'm going to go ahead and probably put, probably going to keep the 90 degree up top. And then I'm going to put the straight fitting down here. That's probably how I'll do it. All right, so this is all set up now. Got it at an angle because it just didn't, going up straight, it kind of made like a little weird kink, so I didn't like that. So I just went ahead and angled it, and now it looks 100 times better. I really don't mind that. This is 30 inches, so if you guys potentially want to go with a smaller hose, you could do like a 28 inch or a 26 inch, and I'm pretty sure it would still reach up here. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm going ahead and putting on my my fuel pressure regulator. I mounted it right here last time. I think I'm gonna put it back here. I don't see why not. It looks pretty cool right here too, in my opinion, because of the blue. So I think it'll fit nicely right there. So pretty sure I'm gonna be mounting it right there. Why not? All it is the fuel pressure regulator that I got came with this bracket, and all it is just those 2 Allen keys back here that line up with those 2, and then I drilled a hole right in the middle to pretty much mount it to the intake manifold. So I'm going to put it on real quick. All right, so the fuel pressure regulator is on. It looks pretty good right there. I think I'm just going to keep it there. It adds some blue to the intake manifold. Be easier to run the lines to for vacuum, so I can run this line to like right here. All right, guys, so it's the next day. I have the engine out already from the engine stand. Now it's just hanging. Now I'm just torquing down the flywheel, pressure plate, doing all that other good stuff. And then I forgot something. to the bolts that were holding on my engine, I actually were using some of these bolts right here, these guys, because they're long enough. So I went ahead and I don't think I mentioned this in my other videos, but these guys, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those 5 bolts hold on this basically this bracket, and it holds up your pulley right here, your pulleys, and it holds up your what's it called, AC compressor and your alternator. All right, so let me explain to you guys what's going on here. So I plan on replacing my clutch soon because it's pretty bad, but I'm just gonna throw it in just to make sure I can drive the car and break it in, you know, all that good stuff. Probably won't race it for a little bit. Anyways, so what I did was I used brake cleaner, and you gotta clean off all the surfaces off of that, and that guy. Clean off all the surfaces, and then you're gonna put in these bolts right here that go to your crankshaft, the back, and then you have your bearing too, okay? This is a competition stage 4 clutch kit. It is a 6-puck, by the way, so it's really aggressive. Anyways, you're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts. Those bolts are, let me see if I have the socket size somewhere. There it is. These bolts, the socket size for it is a 3/8 hex socket. So that's what I use. And then you torque them down to spec. I went ahead and torqued them down just to 80 foot-pounds, which is the least you can go ahead and torque them down to. But other people torque them down to 90 foot-pounds as well. But I mean, to me, I think 80 is good enough, as well as pairing it with the Loctite. Always pair it with Loctite. After you have that on, put the bearing on, and then you're gonna go ahead and put this dude on next, and then you're gonna put that guy on. I'm gonna show you what it looks like right now. Actually, before even putting that on, I need to put some grease on it. I'm gonna use some lithium grease. What is it? I believe it's the white or multi-purpose lithium grease. And you're just gonna rub some around these guys right here, and as well as over here, and the splines of this guy. And you're gonna go ahead and basically lube it up really good, and then wipe away the excess. I'll show you guys. All right, so I got the grease on the splines. I got the grease in here too. So all I'm gonna do is basically just put this guy on. It's kind of hard. One hand. Line it up, and then just, you basically just want it all spread it around there. Do that a few times. And after that, take it out. Get a shop rag or something and just wipe away the excess that comes out of it. That's all you're gonna do. You're gonna do the same thing over here too. You're gonna wipe away the excess of it, just like this. You basically just want the grooves to have the grease in it. You don't want it anywhere on the outside of the grooves. All right, now after that, now we can go ahead and put it in and put on the pressure plate. All right, guys, so we're back over here and we're putting on the friction disc now. And there is a wrong and a right way to do this. The friction disc is supposed to have these little, this little plate right here. That comes towards you, okay? Not towards the crank, not towards the engine. That goes towards the transmission. So when you're doing this, make sure you have this little plate right here facing towards you. Another thing is, this is not a the OEM tool that comes with the kit. I just made this one. It's part number 14503 from AutoZone, I believe. And all I did was just get some tape and then circle the tip of, I'll show you guys in a bit right now. All right, so now we have a total of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I guess 9 bolts. And the socket size that I'm using for these are 7/32, another hex socket size again. And these are torqued to 20 foot-pounds. I'm gonna go ahead and torque them down to 18 foot-pounds just to be a little safe, because I am reusing these bolts. You're not really supposed to reuse them, but I mean, since I'm gonna be getting another clutch kit soon, I don't see why not. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and torque these down real quick, and then we'll go on to the next step. Oh, and before I forget, make sure you also still use red Loctite for these guys, and clean them off before you install them. Quick tip: so whenever you're torquing this stuff down, the whole assembly is gonna be rotating. So in order to stop it, what I did is, you see how I'm using the engine hoist as pretty much to hold in that place that that breaker bar right there. I basically have the breaker bar on the crankshaft bolt, and it's holding it in place like that. So whenever I'm torquing it down to the right side, that just stays right there, and I can get the correct torque readings. But that's just my tip on whenever you're gonna go ahead and tighten up these bolts and torque them down. All right, make sure everything's lined up. Yep, looks perfect. All the bolts are torqued down. And in case you guys don't have a clutch alignment tool, this one's for a I think it was a 23 spline. Yeah, this is a 23 spline. So at AutoZone, they sell this part. I want to say it's 14503 for the part number. And this is a 23 spline, but the diameter right here for this little nipple, it's too loose for the bearing. So all I did was get some tape, circle it a bit, and it fits the bearing just perfectly fine, and it lines up everything. So if you guys need a cheap solution for a clutch alignment tool, there you go. So got the oil line on, right? So that's good. I'll be putting on this fitting up here later, but this is my oil line. This is a 30-inch oil line, so you could probably get away with like a 28-inch or a 26-inch oil feed line and be perfectly fine. This one though, this one had to be for sure custom, because for this to work really, you see how tight this is? It doesn't touch the manifold or anything at all. This is a braided line, and all I'm using is just push lock fittings on both ends. So what I did was I made sure this was at an angle, so that way it puts pressure on it, so it can push it away from the exhaust manifold. Because if it's straight up, then it would hit up on this manifold and it would burn this oil return line. So that's why I did it specifically like that, just for this build. Usually you're gonna want it like straight down almost all the time, but this is just a small exception. It's not like in a kink or anything like that. Pretty straight. So I got that on. It's going down right there, as you can see, to the AN lines. And it is a push lock, by the way. And then up top here is also a push lock. So that should be pretty good. And what else was there to do? I'll probably put on the engine belt right now too as well. Actually, I'll do it after I drop the engine in. So go ahead and jack up the car real quick, and we'll go ahead and start putting the engine in. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention, if you're in the process of replacing your engine, or if you just want to do this on your own free time, anywhere where you find ground straps, I highly recommend grinding down the paint, because if you ground down the paint, you're gonna have a better better ground points. So right now, since these ground points are over paint, it's just not as good as having ground points that are without the paint, okay? All right, so I got my ground points. I have all of them shaved. So that's done. All right, now we're gonna put this dude in. So whenever you're putting the engine back in, I recommend putting all your harness to the very back, because you don't want it getting smudged. Last thing you're gonna want is dropping the engine on your harness. So make sure it's pushed all the way back, okay? On the transmission housing, or belt housing, you're gonna have a total of 8 bolts, including the 2 for the starter. Or not including 2 for the starter. You're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so you have a total of 10 bolts for the transmission belt housing. You have to line up all of them, and then you're gonna have to line up these right here for your motor mount. So one's a bolt, and the other one's a nut. Also, you're gonna want to put a jack under the trans to give it a little bit of support, so you can push it up a little. The reason why you do that is because it's easier to line it up like that. Because if not, then this transmission will be all the way down, and it's a little bit more tedious to do. But I'm gonna go ahead and let it record while I put it in, and you guys can just watch. All right, guys, so I got my transmission bolts pretty much in. I'm gonna put the starter in right now. Then I'm gonna lower it onto the, what's it called? The engine mounts. Take everything off. Get the engine hoist and all that. And from there, we'll start plugging in some things, and yeah, we're pretty much done. All right, so I got the starter put in. Remember, guys, if you have a BK1 starter, you need to put the starter in first. For the BK2 starters, you could put it in like how I just did right now, after the engine is mounted to the transmission. And for the starter, it's gonna be two 14mm bolts, one right there, and it pops right out. Or it goes right in, my bad. So, starter's in, transmission bolts are all in. Let's go ahead and start unhooking everything. Actually, no, we need to line up the motor mounts first. So I'm gonna line up the motor mounts real quick, drop it, and then unhook everything. Engine is on the stands now, or on the engine mounts. So we're gonna go ahead and grab our 17mm socket, and then that one's a bolt, like I said, and then over here to the right side is a nut. Both of them are gonna be size 17.